Okay, it's Thursday morning and we're back. Okay, we're going to go through the 100 innate movement form after the Tai Chi Paradigm class. Some of you have been following along. Hopefully you're picking up on the form or at least watching some of the archive videos. So we're going to start off as usual in the shoulder width stance, hands up like this or like this. You know, there's a alternating effect when we do this. So we turn. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. To the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, one more time. Hands up. Reach down. Relax. Release the tension in the back of the legs and the lower back. Let go. 1, 2, 3. To your right. To your left. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands in your waist. We're going to make circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center. Cross. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center. Tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. center, rotating, 1, 2, 3, reverse, 1, 2, 3, center, hands up, pull in, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Okay, turn your shoulders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, turn. Stretch it out. Switch. 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 Switch, straighten the front knee. Stretch it out, relax. Okay, switch again. Switch. Switch. So each time you switch, you try to go a little bit lower. Don't force it. Let the muscles relax and release, and it'll actually help you reach further down. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Hands up, pull in, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands in your waist. Shoulder roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Press, release, exhale, inhale. Hands up, pull in, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, wrists, so your elbows and knees are working together. Reverse. Okay, center palms down, bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now relax your shoulders. Make sure you don't have a conflict in the movement when you're going way up here, because your shoulder could be misaligned. So just let it go. And we're moving at a fairly slow clip, so it's not really going to force the movement. Relax your torso, relax the shoulders, relax the whole shoulder girdle up in here. That way you can bring it way up like this. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale up on your toes and exhale down. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through your nose. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Okay, so let's bring our feet together like this, hands in the waist. We're going to shift, find our center. So as I mentioned in the other classes, if you're working to improve balance and build coordination, so this is really, the groundwork for improving balance is learning to shift and find your center over the supporting leg, and then this will automatically gravitate toward this leg. So when we shift, once we pick this foot up, it's going to want to naturally let go. Now if you're holding it there, there's tension. Let it go, and you'll find your supporting leg in the center of that position. So that's really part of this training, trying to find your center. Now once you find your center and you bring this foot over, it will go straight up. Over, and it'll go straight up. So it's like you're lifting the leg on the way up. So you have this relationship where the leg is being pulled up. So I know a lot of people do these aerobic exercises and you're going up and you're crunching like this. That's not what we're doing. We're just lifting and stacking, trying to find a vertical erect position, and that's how you can sustain the position in a more relaxed state. So we don't want to crunch. We don't want to tighten our body. We want to maintain the position. So that's posturing, right? Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so before we do the leg swings, let's pull our heels together. This establishes your shoulder width stance. So we're going to just do a few of these pivots just to build this bit of coordination required to form a 90 degrees in that triangle position if you look down. Okay, now lift up your head. We're going to pivot and square the feet. That's your shoulder width stance. Pivot and triangle stance, and then square. Now we kick the heel out, we're going to turn this way. So this is your Tai Chi stance. We're going to go forward and back, forward and back. So our knees alternate. One flexes, the other one straightens, and now we fold here. So you're alternating the legs, and it kind of builds that coordination. Then we turn back to center. We go the other way. So this is how we turn from side to side. So that's a 180-degree turn, breaking it into two segments. We're going to turn this way, forward and back, and then we're going to turn back to here. So that's a 90-degree pivot, and we're going to go this way, and we break that 90-degree pivot into two 45s. So is it kind of understood what's happening there? If I pivot this foot 90 degrees and square this foot, I'm here. If I pivot this foot 45 degrees, I make up that difference here. Okay, so we're here, and then we're back. So we alternate the pivoting, toe to heel, forward to back, heel, toe, toe, heel, forward and back, pivot and pivot. Okay, so that's a drill that you can do just to work the pivoting and turning. Now we're going to swing the arms like this and then take a step on the right side. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now without stepping, we're just going to move the foot forward and move it backwards and keep the same rhythm and then kick it in. So we're going to have a leg swing from front to back. Okay. So all of these movements and drills are standing. We're standing on one leg. But then we're building that relationship I talk about when we move our hands and our legs and we go backwards and backwards and backwards and then forward without the step. And center. Okay, next we go out to the side. So this is parallel to the mirrors. So you can see the hands are going like this. They're not going like this or like this. They're going right in front of you. Now you have to turn your hip a little bit like this in order to get your leg to go in front of the other one. So you see what happens? Opposite, opposite, and both arms are going in the same direction. Okay, switch. We're going to do it on this side. Swing. And center. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, now we're going to do the silk reeling. So we have to step out. Okay, so this is mirror image. So we look for this position and then sit back and look for this position. And we're going to go forward and back. Then we go forward. Let's turn before we hold the ball, and then forward. So holding the ball really is this position. We have one here. We're transitioning over to here. It's 1, 2. This is a reference point. This is to hold the ball. This is up, turn, down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you've been following, I break this down, each time we do this, because someone that's just following for the first time will have a little trouble tracking the movement. So your movement is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So while you already know this, that kind of defines the sequence or the sequence of events that actually create this specific movement. So this is called silk reeling. It's a continuity exercise. You build coordination and spatial awareness of positioning. Okay, turn. The same thing applies here. We hold the ball. We have a forward position. We hold the ball. We have a forward position. Then we turn, and we're here. Then we turn, and we hold the ball, and we're forward and back again. Are you here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4, back. So once we start to blend the movements happen almost simultaneously as we merge and separate. So this is combine and separate. Okay, now we're back to center, and we're down here. Cross the arms. Okay, so we can either have the right side or the left side forward. That's mirror image. I'm going to face the mirror, and I'm going to cross. My right side is on the outside. My right foot is forward, and I'm going in and out. So this is opening and closing. So a lot of the terminology we use in class kind of explains what we're doing, and it also gives you sort of the clue as to what's going to be happening in the next set of exercises. So I call it opening and closing. Open and close. Your right hand is straight. Your left side is curved. And you go in and forward and back. Okay, so the coordination, the spatialness of the motion really starts to build once you get familiar with these different drills. So drills are actually just taking the same movement and doing it over and over again. So you just go from one position to the next. Opening straight in the front, left side. Right side is round. And then you fold and you cross right here. Okay, shake it out. Next we have this exercise, which is really preparation. So the arms are parallel. They're square like this. Drop your elbow and push down. Lift up, preparation. And next, we're going to go to the lower hoop. So now this is sort of defined as the geometry of position. So this is round. It's a circle. It's a hoop. Okay? That's waist level or in front of the navel. Your arms are bent. Okay, shoulder height, same diameter of the circle. That's shoulder height. Knees are slightly bent. Spine is straight, chin tucked in slightly. Tongue touching the roof of your mouth. And just breathe gently through your nose without, you're not really coordinating breath with the movement in a sense because we're not moving a lot. So just breathe. And the elbows down. So while you're holding this position and your tongue touches the roof of your mouth, you probably experience saliva building in your mouth. So you have to swallow, otherwise you'll choke. Some people doing this end up choking a bit because they forget to swallow. Okay, so the knees are still bent, your hands are cupped. Those are the three positions for this exercise, standing meditation. Then we're going to go down, and then we're going to extend the knees, straighten the legs, straighten the arms, not locking them, but elongating them. Okay, chin tucked in slightly, lifting from the top of the head. So because the tongue touches the roof of your mouth and you're breathing through the nose, a natural response happens, and that's why the saliva starts to secrete and you build it in your mouth. Extend. So that was palm down. Now extend. Now the palms face the legs, fingertips pointing down. Now extend the fingertips. Elongate the fingertips. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So those are essentially the limbering up exercise and the drills that we do, sometimes considered warm-ups, but they build sort of physical or positioning understanding and learning to maneuver the body a bit when we twist and we turn and we bend and lift. So those are just getting familiar. So while you're going through these exercises and I point out certain things, your awareness goes to those ideas, and at the same time you'll start to experience different feeling. Now those feelings eventually you tune into, and then when you do these exercises, you want to experience those feelings, like elongating the fingers. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to hold this position? So all of this is really experience and feeling based on your sensory system picking up on, what that feels like. So your body will experience those changes. So that's really what happens with everything that we do, because you will sort of tune into the movements, whether it's the postures, and you develop a certain amount of feeling. So when we say feel the movement, that's something kind of hard to understand until you experience it. So that's something that you have to open up your mind to, so that you begin to experience it with more of a consciousness of the position, but then at the same time letting your body relax. And as your body relaxes and forms these positions, that level of sensitivity starts to heighten. And that applies to your form, it applies to everything in regard to what we're doing. So when you do your form and you're building these somewhat intricate transitions, you're going to find your body goes to another set of feelings. So you can maybe say that those feelings become a comfort level. That comfort level allows you to feel balanced and feel relaxed, and a lot of that will be part of the training. So if it's tension and you let go, you know what a feeling of relaxation is. You let go, you feel the posture forming without actually any physical resistance. Okay, next, we're going to go through the series of movements actually from holding the ball to the diagonal flying. So holding the ball, like we did here, is this. So the top of the hand is about shoulder level. The lower hand is here. That's the size of the ball. Now if I turn and I step out, this is diagonal flying. So it looks like a piece of the silk grilling, right? So this is diagonal flying. So you look at the image and you kind of relax into the position. So when we relax into the position, you actually feel your body settling. Okay. When it settles, you're sinking. What happens? You become more stable. And you feel grounded. Okay, next on the other side, we're just going to do a few of these diagonal flyings. Okay, now if you go into these positions and pause for a split second, your body starts to recognize. Once it starts to recognize, you start to develop muscle memory. So muscle memory is really skeletal structure positioning, which becomes joint angle positioning. Because your joints form angles, and these angles, when you combine the different joints, creates a shape. So this is diagonal flying. Now we go to center, and we find the shoulder width stance. Okay, so this shoulder width stance, eventually you can tell and feel what that width is over time. So all our exercises are in the shoulder width stance. Preparation is in a shoulder width stance. When you begin your form, it's the shoulder width stance. So that becomes a standard as a preparation to what happens when you do your form. Okay, so when we're here, we can go up, lower hoop, middle hoop, upper hoop. Okay, so there's a horizontal, and here's a vertical. Horizontal, and there's a vertical. When we bring it down, there's a vertical, and this is a circle, and this is a circle. Those are the same two circles that are in this exercise. So we're going to just do them one at a time. Now you see the body's pretty rigid or stationary. So let's break that rigidity by turning. Now the movement looks like it's more fluid and it's definitely covers more space, but it looks like your body isn't fixed, right? Because you are turning. So that helps you bring body mobility and the beginning of integration. Okay, so that's really what's happening. This is called cloud hands hand movements. Okay, now earlier we did this. So we go back to the shoulder width stance, and we bring our hand to the right, and then we bring it to the left. Let's bring the weight over to the left and bring the foot to here. Now I'm in sort of a suspended position. It's like suspended animation. You're going to go through the position and then pause. Then let go. Right? So in this position, when the elbow is down, my knee on this side is supporting the weight, or the leg is supporting the weight. When I go to this side, now we combine the motion in a direction. So that's what happens when we do cloud hands. This concept is called differentiating between the substantial and insubstantial. So if I move my body over and support my weight here, that becomes the substantial leg. When I move over like this, then I have this alignment where we're in this position, and then we go across again. And then we continue. So while we're doing this as a basic drill, your body starts to pick up on where the balance point is and where your center of mass is. So center of mass is what we're controlling. We can call that the central equilibrium. All right. Central equilibrium is when you find your center of mass in a specific posture. So what we're doing is shifting from side to side. But then if we shift and we want to continue across, we have to shift again and then move in the same direction. So you notice what's happening is we transition across and pick up the weight on one leg and then hold it on the other side while we move the unweighted leg. So that's a process. That same process happens when we walk, when we move, because when we're moving, walking or running, we're always transferring weight from one leg to the other. But we don't pay attention to that mainly because we can do it. You know, we can walk, we can run, we can do all these things because we've taken all those, that learning curve from the beginning and just embed in the body because it's subconscious now. So once it's subconscious, we really don't pay attention. We don't think about it. Till you do something like Tai Chi, then you're going to start to feel, where is my center? Because now everything done is slow motion. Because it's in slow motion, now it becomes more apparent that you either have control of your center or you don't. You don't understand the relationship between what happens between the arm and the leg because you're breaking it down into these simple components, but yet your brain actually figure out what you're doing. Now, some of us are really good at mimicking and watching, and you can copy, and you probably have pretty good balance from other physical activities. But if you aren't very physical and you don't have great balance, and you haven't, been working the body, you're going to have a little trouble synchronizing the hands and legs because your body just doesn't know. So when we talk about using it or losing it, if you don't use your body a certain way, it goes away. It's pruned out of here, and your body doesn't connect with it. So that disconnect really becomes a disconnect in the body. So that's why if you're practicing something like Tai Chi or the Tai Chi Paradigm, actually focuses on the body mechanics and everything else involved with building the building blocks to how to move better. So I call that prevention of age-related degeneration. And believe me, age-related degeneration is across the board. Age-related and degeneration applies to every system in your body, from the brain down to every other system, whether it's sensitivity, whether it's your lungs, your digestive system, everything kind of gets altered as you age. Your joints, your flexibility, your musculature, your coordination, all of these, cognitive behavior, how much memory you have, all of these things decline over time, partially because you don't use it, but then partially, or a lot of it is because we age. What happens when things age? It becomes somewhat dysfunctional or they break down. So your body is, in a sense, breaking down. So how do you maintain that? Well, you have to, because the body is adaptable, the more you use your body, the more it's going to adapt. And the fact that it's adapting means that your body needs to keep it fresh. You have to keep building the neurons, keep the action happening, and all of that stuff will continue. That's a little different from your car. You get 100,000 miles, and all these things start to fall apart, and you have to replace them. So that happens in the human body in a sense if you're going to replace a shoulder or replace a knee or a hip. Those just are new mechanical parts. But what happens here? What happens on a cellular level? What happens on all of these systems? You have to work them in order to control them. So between moving and nutrients, those are the two key things that we need to keep an open mind to. Okay, so now when we go through this, we went through the two exercises there. Now we're going to go to this. It's a pattern. This pattern building. This is called carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, so we're using the same geometry of position. So while we build this geometry, what are we doing? We're building muscle memory. That muscle memory is actually structural integrity of position. Structural integrity of position is tied directly to functionality of movement, and then following the normal course of the tracking of movement develops naturalness of motion. Our joints are designed to move a certain way, and that's because the musculature is attached in a certain way. So if you're moving it and there's conflict in movement through tension, what ends up happening? You put stress on the joint, and you put wear and tear on the joint, makes the joint not working the way it should be. So what happens? It breaks down. So learning to move gently in patterns and using your musculature a certain way, it changes, the whole, theme of what we're doing. We start to develop movement that actually is functional. We need to move to be functional, and so movement is essential to life. You have to move. Movement is sort of task-driven. You want to move to do certain things, regardless of what it is. So this is a figure 8 on its side. Form the fist is the next one. So we went from this to this. Form the fist. Okay, next. Palms together. Here's your triangle. We talked about the hoop. We talked about the square in the legs. Now we have the square in the arms and the triangle. Okay, the triangle is the center line that splits the body in half, and everything is square and even. Okay, so here's your triangle. We separate the hands, strum the lute. Okay, now we're just finding that center line, merging the hands and separating them, making a semicircle on each side. But when you start to evolve and the body starts to twist a little bit, then you start to integrate the body and you actually start to create actions that are not totally isolated. So that's something that builds over time. But the twisting of the waist, a lot of times we don't turn the shoulders and twist the waist, mainly because that function has declined or deteriorated or disappeared. Mainly because we don't turn our shoulders and our lower back very much. In fact, a lot of people hurt their back, and a lot of times you don't turn because you're in this defensive mode because you're afraid to hurt your back. But actually, that's ironic that that's going to actually make your back worse. Okay, now I'm going to turn and draw the bow, and I'll go back to the horizontal and vertical elbows when we get to the grasp the sparrow's tail. Okay, so this is draw the bow. I'm going to run through the last few exercises, and then we're going to do some posturing. Fan through the back, lift up, open the back, sink, and rise. So the hands go up, way up high with the elbows. So you can't go high with the arms unless you lift your elbow. You can't lift your elbow unless you relax your shoulders. So what's that? Every part of your body moves a function of another part of your body. Nothing should be working isolated. Okay. Lifting. Find your center. Go right up through the center and lift up and separate the hands. Go right up through the center. Right up through the center. Right up through the center. And down. Okay, good. Hands up. Pull in. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so those are all the exercises that we do as a typical session, and they're all important because it's a routine that works from the sole of your feet to the top of your head. You have to do all of them to encompass all of the ideas that we have built inside our movement. So we want to work every single, I call them the primary movers, which is the 12 major joints, your ankle, your knee, and your hip on one side. That's 3. There's 3 more on this side, that's 6. And you have 3 on this side, that's 9. And you have 3 on this side, that's 12. So you have your 12 major primary movers. And then you have your neck, your sternum area, and the lower back, your waist. So those 15 components should blend together to create a complete motion. I mean, those are the primary and the bigger joints. Everything else, if you go to all the joints in the body, there's hundreds of them, so you can't actually count all of them. You just move those as units, and then you'll begin to appreciate what integration of body is. Okay, now we're going to go to a shoulder width stance. We kick the heels together. That sets up the 45-degree line. So we're going like this, 45 degrees on each side. We bend the knees. We either have a left foot forward or a right foot forward. Okay, so this is your left stance. This is your right stance. Okay, you should sit, fold the hip, and you should be in a vertical position. Which side should be up? Front toe. Okay, that's my right foot, my right hand. I go to the other side, sit in the hip, one here, left and left, vertical. Horizontal. Horizontal is half of the circle. So when we go like this and we go forward, we press and sit back. We press and sit back to neutral. So if you're just starting out, this is really important to understand horizontal and vertical. Now if I put the foot back here and I step up and I switch my hands, I have vertical and horizontal, vertical and horizontal. So doing this frequently will get you familiar with vertical and horizontal and work your legs, because the legs are the hardest to develop, second to the torso. But the legs actually you need to work more to get this feeling of balance and transition. So your legs start to become more comfortable. The legs fight your movements all the time because they're too tense. Now, when I'm forward like this, if I want to take a step forward, I have to toe out again. And I shift my weight, and I bring my foot next to it, and I step up, and I switch hands. and then I go forward to a press, and then I can go back, I toe out, I shift my weight, check my weight, move the opposite foot up, and you switch stance. So that's a step through, okay? So that's what we do in the brush knee. We actually hold this position and then move through. Okay, then we would continue with a movement or switch, and we would go forward and twist. And then we would switch hands. So you notice there's two ways of moving through the stance. One is vertical to horizontal and back to vertical, and then you toe out. You step up, vertical to horizontal and vertical. So this is switching sides. So that's the vertical to vertical and horizontal. Now, the second one is the vertical to horizontal, and you hold this position and you step through. So regardless of what happens from here, it would be a transition. In this transition, I'm using this as a position to take me to brush knee or maneuvering to the other side. So when do those things happen, or when does that simple transition happen? It's more apparent to people that know the form. Say brush knee is one of the transitions where you hold that hoop. Switching the hands could happen near the end of the form after you go from high path to horse, and then we move from right to left. Or you get to Jade Lady Work Shuttle, where you go from forward position to here. Then when we cross over, we have these kind of transitions that actually will show up as the fundamental transition. So fundamental transitions is part of perfecting the form, because when we're first doing the form of mimicking, it's kind of rough. When we start to, build those ideas into the movement, and the geometry of position starts to make a difference, because movements in Tai Chi should be round, should be even, should be accurate. So if you have round, even, and accurate, those are three concepts that you have to build into the movement. And then the fourth thing is they have to be even, uniform, smooth. So all those four items have to be part of your training. So if you're learning the 108 movement form, they have to be round, okay? They have to be slow, even, and accurate. So those ideas have to be part of what we're doing. So that's evolving with the form, building in these principles. So those principles are kind of important for you to know how to take the movements and expand. Now from here, we're going to go like this: preparation, and we're going to step up 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to step up again. Now here's how we get to the other side if we use that transition, because that's also a transition. So once we get to this side and we separate the hands and pull them toward the belly and then push out, this is grasp the sparrow's tail. There's 4 movements in grasp the sparrow's tail. So you have a vertical, you have a horizontal press. Now I'm not going to turn the shoulders at all, just go straight back, turn the inside hand up, and you push forward. So that's how you can practice as the first line of learning it, breaking it down into those 4 components. But as you start to evolve and you get to the vertical position and you go to horizontal, when you separate the hands, you go to the right upper corner and you turn to the left lower corner and you bring it across to the right lower corner and then back forward. You added this rotational component that eventually will tie those hand movements directionally to the body, and then the body will tie that to the legs, and then the legs become part of that total goal of integration. So grasp the sparrow's tail is really 4 pieces, and those 4 pieces will evolve based on how your body is moving. It's sort of like cloud hands doing this, and then you start to turn, and then you start to shift. Then you start to turn, and you start to shift. So all of this, first you have to do the hands, then we have to do the shift, then you have to turn the body and you combine. So as you evolve, more and more things start to happen. More and more components start to link together. And then eventually, your coordination improves. And what's happening is you're really rewiring, programming all of this stuff up in here. And while you're doing that, you go through the process and your body starts to pick up on that over time. So some of it is through your visuals, visual recognition. Some of it is through the feeling experience that we talked about earlier, that when you move from side to side, what's it feel like to be in that balanced position? So you have to pause. You have to pause in each one of those positions so that your body experiences what that feels like. And then it moves on, then you feel, so it constantly evolves. Once the feeling becomes innate, then you really just keep going. It just passes because it knows. So that's how you evolve when you're doing Tai Chi. That's how you evolve when you're improving your skill. That's how it evolves when you're improving your body mechanics, your balance, everything involved with movement. And if I say movement is essential to life, then you need to move correctly. Right? Okay, now I'm going to just go through the form with the group. Okay, so with preparation, and this is the Tai Chi Paradigm form. It's made up of the things that we've been working on, and it's not easy to just follow the movements without some form of understanding. So here's your grasp the sparrow's tail, and then we're going to move on to single whip. Hold the ball, shift, adjust your feet, diagonal flying. We have to adjust our feet for the comfort level in the position. If we don't adjust the feet, we're going to feel like we're out of balance or the body is misaligned. So we move and find a position and we do the brush knee movement 4 times. And here's that vertical to horizontal. Hold that position, you turn out and you step through. Turn to your left because the elbow dictates direction. Right elbow up, right rotation. That's the 4th one. We go to neutral position, vertical. Okay. Now here is the 45-degree turn. So here, what dictates the direction is not the elbow now. It's the palm. Okay. So in a sense, that's a right to left vertical and horizontal. This is close the door, form the fist, step through and punch. Infinity sign. And punch. Bring the left to the outside, cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Go back to neutral, sink back into the position, round out, repulse the monkey. We're going to go backwards. Fist under elbow. And that's this position. And then we go back to neutral. Okay, so let's try that again. Fist under elbow, which is this, and neutral. So fist under elbow and neutral are essentially the same position, except for one's palm in, one palm side to side. Okay, now we're here. Let's step backwards. And then this is repulse the monkey 3 times. So repulse the monkey 3 times is standard. We're going to do that the 3 times in 108 movement form as well. And it starts on the left side. Okay, so the footwork is a little tricky because we're going backwards. Vertical position, horizontal, toe out, and we step up. Now there's a hold the ball position to diagonal flying. There's a neutral position to insert needle. Then we're here, the hands are up and down. This goes up to here, turn, adjust your feet, fan through the back. Turn, drop the elbow, stroke down as if hitting with a hammer, invert the hand, back fist. form the fist, step up, and punch. Sit back, divert, block, and punch. Okay? Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Bring the hands down, turn, lift up, carry tiger to the mountain. So this is the series of movements, but we're blending it with some footwork to take us to this position. Left side, stork flaps wings, and we're going to turn toward the left, and we're going to do stroke down. Okay. Oh, sorry. Stroke down, grasp the sparrow's tail. So we're here. 1, 2, 3. It's a good thing I have mine in the back there checking me. Okay, here we have single whip and hold the ball. Flip the hands over, diagonal flying. Sit back. Here's the stroke down. The hand on the back side goes over the top. I think a lot of people get confused with that when they're first learning it. Which hand goes. Just bring the back hand over like that. That's covering, and then you separate the hands. Here's that crossover, and we're talking about going to the vertical, to the horizontal, back, and Jade Lady Work Shuttle. So a lot of the fundamentals that we've gone through in the beginning stages of the class really supports everything that we do. So this is single whip again. The hand goes down. Now this cloud hand actually has pivoting of the feet. So the pivoting of the feet take us to a direction. So it really leads us into the corners, and we're back to here. Then opening and closing the form has this reverse the ball and closing, and we worked on that last class, breaking it down. And complete. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So, the end goal is to learn the sequence. That houses it. The Tai Chi form is the active meditation. So you do the form. That's part of the practice. It's great for brain plasticity, memory, coordination. It houses all the different postures that we work on. And then all the warm-ups fundamentally is the real journey to developing, because those exercises really is reinforcing and drilling on all the little pieces inside that form. Okay, on that note, that's the end of the Tai Chi Paradigm. We're going to move on to 108 movement form. So it's more of the same, but it's actually taking us through more postures. We learn the long form the same way, but because you're moving into the long form, pay attention to what goes on in the Tai Chi Paradigm, because the transitions on that first section of the form is really what supports the long form in the beginning. But then in the paradigm, you have left-handed movements that you won't have in the long form. So there's some transitions. There's quite a few positions in there that you don't have in the long form. And then when you move to the long form, you have quite a few new postures that still are somewhat geared to the right side technique. So it's good to know both and then build off of it. Now the idea that when we open the form and we shift the weight, that's something that we really have to improve a lot on, as to when you begin to pivot, when you shift. So the coordination and the timing between the actions start to blend. When you start to blend it, that's where you build more integration of body. And that actually doesn't stop. It goes on forever. As long as you're practicing, your body will start to connect. So when you're doing opening, when we do our drills, you have to realize what you're doing. You're heightening the response and the action, and avoiding and deleting any erroneous motion, any type of thing that's actually going to be conflicting in your movement. We work this many times. So this is reverse the ball, and this is what happens when we do the kicks. Okay, so it's also palm strikes face. So palm strikes face is simply that. Okay, so we have that posture, we have this posture. Okay, vertical to horizontal. So we can go vertical to horizontal. Well, this is also vertical to horizontal. That essentially is covering. So when you cover and you turn to this, so that usually happens here, right? When we're here, we move the hand over and then we cover. And then the hand comes here and we poke forward. Right? That poking forward is snake sticks out tongue. So this is action that is happening in this space. So when we're in this position and we stroke down, that's what's happening in this space. You see, this movement is really putting a lid on it. It's cover. So when you're like this, what has to happen is your shoulder is relaxed. So once you're here, your body blends and it goes to there. So the referencing of this space is what the hands have to do. Okay. When I'm here, snake stick out comes from here. What I did earlier, if I go like this and I do this, that becomes brush knee. So, essentially this is also the same of this, right? So what is this? It's when we come to brush knee, and then you end up doing that. So these movements that are not so apparent to you in the beginning, or even while we're going through this, it might not have dawned on you that that's all you're doing. But all these movements that you're learning over time is really motions that our body can do, but we don't put them into these format, into this sequence of events. And those sequence of events become more of how we develop, and over time go through so many different transitions that it becomes a massive amount of information that you have to work through. So simple movements become complex, complex movements become simple. It's a cycle. And as you evolve and you become more astute and your body starts to pick up on this, that's what advanced skill level is. Everything approaches a level of complexity before it comes back down to simplicity. When you get back to the mode of simplicity, then you truly begin to understand what you've learned. While you go through this whole process, you don't really know where you're going with it. And then you finally discover that that's all it is. So it could take you a lifetime to figure that out. But the thing is, it's something that keeps you, motivated and alert, because we need something to stimulate our body and our brain. So you need to keep things active. The only way to keep things active is to have something that has some purpose and to reach for. So a lot of times, the idea of purpose and meaningfulness, that applies to how we think. Unfortunately, as we get older, and you don't really know what the purpose is. So purpose in life, purpose, all these things kind of come together. It's a psychological thing. So when we're here and we thrust, and then we invert and we turn, the hands, you see, when we do the infinity sign, when we go like this, we turn the hands. So when the hands go like this and go like this, how do we create those movements? You probably didn't see that inside your, on this, the infinity sign. But the thing is, that's the only way our body can move. So the thing is, how relaxed your shoulder is, the correct position of your forearm in the body, and how it adjusts is really, whether you can develop the movement correctly or not. So when I say even, slow, round, and accurate, it comes down to how well you do your fundamental patterns. If your patterns are just going through the motions, then when it shows up in the form, you're just going to go through the motions. And if you just go through the motions, you can't actually begin to discover and connect with what you're actually developing, so you can't evolve the same way. So any of the people that, whether they're students or long-term practitioners, that's something that you have to really understand in order to take it to the next stage. So the stage before that is going to be a threshold. That threshold is a block. You can't get beyond that. You can't get beyond that because your level of understanding hasn't caught up to your physical movement, because movements are on the first line physical. Until you break through that, then it becomes innate, intrinsic. When it becomes intrinsic, your body starts to connect. So that's why there is a process, and it's a way that we have to evolve. Okay, so we see 1, 2, 3, 4. We pull down, pull. Then the hands go like this, and then they end up crossing. And we end up here, and then we end up here. Golden cockerel. Then we go down, and we press forward. So here. Now you relax the shoulder. So you're letting it go like this. But actually, you just let it go, and these hands will merge. So you come through your center. Now when you come through your center, you connect that. Okay? So that's like thrusting and kicking, and then here. So we have two positions. We have the thumb like this, or the fingers like this, the thumb like that. Then we have the palm up like that. So this is a press and a thrust, a press and a thrust, press and a thrust. Okay. So a lot of you that do the Yehimo and the Mudong, you can see how those kind of hand movements start to connect, and you can actually see that the coordination is similar, but the pattern and the motion directionally starts to, be aware to you, because now you've made that connection. So it's sort of like cross-training. So a lot of things that we do require directional motions and dual actions. That makes it a little bit more complicated than doing this, because everything is working in tandem. So when we're thrusting like this, and we're turning like this, and we're turning like this, you have to create the volume of movement, so that, because three-dimensional movement allows you to do that. Now if you were catching something and doing that, you see the turnover of the hand and the covering of the hand makes it practical as a movement. And then when we're thrusting like this, and we poke like this, and then we pull back as an action, then you start to see how the body builds a synchronization. And then you're like this, or like this. So all of these things require sort of nimbleness, agility of the hands, agility of the legs, agility of the body. So those things, think of age-related degeneration, agility, nimbleness, coordination, those actually go away, mainly because we don't use our body like that. So what happens is it gets pruned out of your brain. Those connections get severed because they get pushed back, or they're eliminated because you don't think that your body needs to do that. So the brain is something you have to feed information to in order to get something to come back. It's a give and take. So if we don't give it anything, it's not going to give you anything back. So when we don't learn and progress through these movements, how can we actually keep this fresh? And then we find the position to the next, and that's repulse the monkey. So if you see repulse the monkey happens in two stages. One's from fist under elbow, okay, and then we go to repulse the monkey. One's from golden cockerel, and then the golden cockerel, and then from here we go backwards and it repeats. So that's something to keep in mind. And then when we go to near the end of the form, we have the palm strikes face. So here's another maneuver, right? So palm strikes face. One of the questions at one time was, how come sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's like this and it's turning over? Which way is correct? Well, reversing the ball, changing the palm, all of these movements is really just flipping the top hand to the bottom hand to the top hand to the bottom hand to the top. This goes this way, this goes this way. A lot of that really has to do with the exchange between right and left side, because we're going directionally in a way that really is doing this. Our hands could be together like this, and you're doing the same thing. The size of the movement really is relative to the amount of shoulder and elbow action. So you change the size of the circles, but you don't eliminate the connection to the direction of the body, because when we're moving, the body is actually moving in a direction. Because we're going forward, it would be like that. Because we're turning, it would be like that. So really, the compatibility of movement really has to do with the way the next motion is going to be. So this doesn't really change. What changes is your space. What changes is the volume of movement. If I'm going forward, then I have to do this. But if I'm going this way, then I have to do this. See, so that it really is related to that. If I'm in single whip and I go like this, and I turn, that's reversing the ball, but the dimensional change has so much change in the planes of movement that it looks like it's a completely different movement. It's not really different. Just like the body is the same body, it's not any different. It's just that the space of the movement relative to your position during the transition is different. So that's really why this and this look different. It's not really different. It's the same thing. So it's evolving through a stage of development, and how much your body can pick up and modify the movement, maintaining integrity of position as far as brush, knee, and twist. Well, which hand is moving? That's brush knee, but why is it like this? Because we can go through the motion, tap into the blending of those actions, not lose the structural integrity of position, and still move dimensionally. Okay. Why is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and not same movements? Timing and the association of movement and direction is refined to a different stage of development, because you've picked up on all of these things that happen simultaneously or sequentially in such a tight timing that it looks completely different. So that's how we evolve over time. And believe it or not, to do that, it takes a tremendous amount of information there, so that file, that program has been enhanced. So you enhance that program. So the brain plasticity and the amount of information that you're building up here makes the body work the way it does. So that's really why the mind-body relation, mind-body exercises that they talk about is tremendous when it comes to something like what we're doing, because it constantly evolves, and what happens when it enters that level of subconscious behavior becomes functionality at its peak. You know, there's nothing like it. You know, I say this all the time, that I don't know any exercise that takes you to this level of complexity and development that I know of. A lot of physical exercise is very physical and pretty basic and simple. It builds tremendous body physiques and it develops endurance, but it doesn't build this kind of a motor skill. So that's something to kind of keep in the forefront of your mind of why you would be doing Tai Chi. Okay, so let's pick up the Tai Chi form from the first set of cloud hands, okay? So we just finished this first set of cloud hands and we're going to go to the kicks. And here we are. We're folding and unfolding. We're folding, lifting and toe kick and down. And we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn. 1, 2, 3, heel. 1. Brush knee and push. Center. Forward. Twist. Brush knee. This is your second time. Then we go to a planting punch. Keep it crossed. Slip it in here. Back fist. Palm strikes face. High pat the horse. 2. Beat the tiger. Lower hoop, cross the hands, heel kick. Down, 2 punches to the ear, cross the arms, flip it over, fold the elbows, parting leg, turn, flip, fold, parting leg, stroke down, invert the hand, parry and punch. Punch, sit back, divert, block, and punch. Cross the arms, leopard and tiger springs to mountain, carry tiger to the mountain. Lift up, cross hands, turn. Brush knee and push. Here's your obliques. So the form essentially is done twice, but I wanted to take you through some of those ideas in the beginning first. So this is grasp the sparrow's tail. Now we go to the front, single whip. Okay, hold the ball, reverse the ball, diagonal flying right, turn it out, part the horse's mane, cover, and he emerges again, and then we step up, part the horse's mane, step up. So there's a total of 5. And we're going to go into the corner. Jade Lady Work Shuttle. This is your left side to your right side. And here's holding, sustaining, passing through your neutral, vertical and horizontal. All of those things are inside of these movements. Crossing over, the upper body and the lower body is moving and coordinated. And we drop it down again. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Hold the ball. Okay? Now, this is Snake sticks out tongue. And now we just worked on that posture. Downward posture, step up, cross hands to golden cockerel, press down and kick, golden cockerel, neutral position, step back, brush knee 3 times. 1, 2. And here we are again, carry tiger to the mountain, open the stance, go down, insert the needle, fan through the back, turn. Stroke down, parry and punch. Step forward, form the fist and punch. So this is moving forward, it's called advancing. Advance forward. Grasp the sparrow's head. So that's an advancing step to those few movements. So you're really stepping in. Cloud hands. And we go forward. And then pivot and turn. Time the up and down movement and the rotation to the legs. Next, here's your palm strikes face. Because I'm turning, the hand ends up like that. Then we're going to turn to here, and then we have the single lotus kick, so the leg's going to come up. And then we're going to brush knee, left side, push. And then we're going to go to the right side with the punch down to crotch. Okay, then we're going to step up again to same, grasp the sparrow's tail, the single whip. Okay, now we're going to just turn. Repeat the downward posture. To the cross hand position and press and push forward. So this is cross hand, turn, open, hook, and ride the tiger. Palm strikes face left. Because we're going forward, just go straight directly there. We come through the center to change the palm. Bring the hands across. Sit back. Jade lady work shuttle. Oh, not jade. This is a draw bow to shoot tiger. But see how these positions are close. 1, 2. So that's a repeat of that palm changing movement. And we're here. Parry and punch. Here's a step up. High pat the horse. We go to neutral. We go to neutral. Grasp the sparrow's tail. And we close the form. Forward, diagonal, right side. Close. And close. Okay, so that covers the 108 movement form with all the new postures. The other thing is, the more you practice it, the better you get. And the things that we talk about really is understood over a period of time. It doesn't happen right away. So the ideas that I mentioned to you, it's because, in the beginning I say, well, if you're learning this because it's prescribed, maybe for fall prevention, improving flexibility, improving coordination. All of that is built through that, the sequential type learning and the drills. And when you do the drills and you learn through that process, you actually become more aware and conscious of everything around you. So that's part of proprioception. But it does help in the long run to do these exercises because you'll benefit regardless of what stage you're on. So keep practicing, follow these videos, go to YouTube, subscribe, and at the same time, give us a thumbs up. But subscribing is very important. Go to YouTube, it'll give you a notification when there's going to be another live class, and it's all there. So have a good day. I'll see you next time. And next time will be Saturday. Today's Thursday, right? Okay.